Let's talk about some of the commercial outlets for hemp grain. What specific industries or sectors might be showing either an increased demand or a serious interest in these products surrounding hemp grain specifically? And what do you guys kind of foresee on the forefront of this evolving segment of the market?
I don't know the company name, but I had just lazy. Somebody sent me a link and I haven't read it, but apparently there's a Chinese company coming to North Carolina to process hemp grain, and I'll get into that article and maybe share it on your YouTube, whatever that thing is, feed, and make sure everybody has access to it. But I think that they probably are pursuing a food grade situation. And then this is very off the cuff, but my partner in the Czech Republic, they actually have a supplement for blood plasma used for industrial hemp parts. And it's not just theory, like they are doing it. And so once some of these unique things emerge, what happens in the Czech Republic, somebody will figure it out here, and it's just going to be a quick swirl. Like I said, the government's waiting to figure out where they need to be with this. They don't know what needs to be regulated and how much they need to throttle it back. But I feel like in this decade, you're going to see it just release. And it's going to be, what we're talking about now is maybe not. There's going to be a lot of hemp growth for grain. But there's just two examples that I can think of. I think Chad Rosen is the authority, I would feel in this neighborhood. And he was looking at protein, concentrated protein supplements for like industrial food production to kind of take the place of soy. That's another use. And he's still finding his way. But that's the type of thing that you see. It's just the more that's released, the more research there is and the more opportunity there is. So those are three examples. One I didn't really identify except the Chinese companies coming to town. But the other two are legit. The blood plasma, and that concentrated protein for industrial use. Those are big markets, and they would gobble up quite a few acres of hemp production.
Yeah, I have been hearing more and more about the international, actually us growing it here and exporting it. I mean, I was even approached last year by a Canadian company saying, grow all the grain you can grow, we'll ship it up straight north. Because I mean, they, like Bert mentioned, they are the foremost leader worldwide, I believe, in grain production, and they can't even grow enough up there to satisfy the demand. Even though a lot of it's coming back here after they process it. But so within that grain seed, you have a couple different components. You have the hemp heart, which is the most nutritious part of that seed, of that material. And then so you do is you dehull it. So you take the hull off of the heart, and then the heart's filled with all the protein and amino acids and all that stuff. And then what you're left with is the byproduct, really is the hull. And actually the hull, it's mostly just fiber. There's not a whole lot of nutritional content, but though it's kind of a byproduct that's also, when it comes to animal feed, cow feed, chicken feed, that's where people are feeding the animals with that.
Yeah, well, like you said, you separate it. You can also press it into oil. You can eat that. You can use it for personal care products. It's antimicrobial, like it's good for cuts and bruises, that kind of stuff. I remember the thing that I forgot was the Hemp Feed Coalition. They're also working for companion animal feed. And that's like a $9 billion market for cats, for dogs, for birds, for, our pets. So they're working on that market too. That's a good in for folks that are looking to, get into the grain market. There's a lot of conversation between large scale farming, and I'm a small scale farmer. So I love to talk about the small farmers and artisanal products. There's a lot of space for artisanal products using hemp. Maybe not so much for the hull. That's more likely I see that for like horse food and cow and chicken, feed that to animals, maybe even hogs too. But for the heart and the oil, there's a lot of artisanal opportunities too, just smaller scale, your own white label products, getting them into stores. bakeries, stuff like that. I've had a lot of interest, a lot of calls over the years from small restaurants that are wondering, how do I get these products into my restaurant? Especially the pressed oil, lots of interest in pressed oil from Chicagoland, and even Springfield area, especially. So there are markets, they're pretty niche. Certainly you want to have a contract before you grow.
Yeah,
Getting
I'd
off on
actually
a
like
tangent
to,
now.
I'd actually like to call out one of our audience members here, Mr. CBD. He is actually distributing hemp seed oil under his brand, and so obviously a big believer in the hemp seed oil.
I am. I'm glad. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity actually, because I wanted to add to what you guys were talking about. We're actually working with roasted hemp seeds with breweries to make beer. It's going to be an ingredient that they're already. Actually, I'm working with Victory, and that's how that started. So I'm becoming the, the ambassador for that, for the beer. Like, this is what we should be doing with beer. And like, barley is a superfood, hemp is a superfood. Let's put more superfood together. And the refined hemp seed oil, we're finding all of my Italian restaurants are like, get rid of this olive oil. It's not even olive oil. We want this in here instead. And now people are dipping their bread in it. It tastes great. You put cheese in there too. It's unbelievable. I just drink a tablespoon of that a day. That keeps the doctor away. That's the real deal.
Thank you, Mark.
Another place you might check out too is Hemp Bakers USA. They're up in Minnesota. They're super interested in contracting with farmers in the northern part of Illinois. As far as transportation goes, maybe that's something Jarett could help with. But I do know that they have companies, and there's a couple other hemp-friendly transportation companies that I'd be happy to help with something like hemp grain up to Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota is also in terms of grain production. I would say I think they're not the #1 state in the United States. They're probably real close. They've been doing it for a while, probably because their proximity to Canada, and it's real easy to go back and forth there.